A lot of people say you can't find gravel roads in Japan. But after 4 years of gravel riding, I can tell you, there's a bunch out there. Now, as big as my list is, I don't think it'll ever get as big as any one single length of rails to trail in America. I wish it would, and sometimes I wonder, why can't there be something like that in Japan? The honest answer is, it's complicated. And the complications start with why these roads were constructed in the first place. Simply put, they were built for logging. They were built for forest management and connecting isolated communities to the outside world. Some are partially owned by surrounding landowners who have to contribute to maintenance costs out of their own pocket. And they'd probably much rather spend that money on, oh, I don't know, farming? And then there's the weather. Let us not forget that every year, Japan is inundated with heavy rains and typhoons, which take endless kilometers of forest roads out of commission. Foundations erode, cliff faces collapse, and then municipalities are left with funding these rebuilds along with surrounding landowners. And this process can take months, if not years. I actually came across an EPA document from the US that gives an interesting case for gravel roads over paved ones. And there's a few different points it makes. Let's see here. It says that there's better drainage, there's slower traffic, and lower long-term maintenance costs. Now, Japan's topography is quite different, and I'm not an engineer, but when I look at the endless cycle of paving and erosion on these roads, I wonder if there's a different way of thinking about it. Japan has a long history of terracing fields, rice fields, rice paddies, and they're quite striking. One such place is in central Izu in the area of Yugashima. The way those terraces manage water on a steep hillside, I wonder if there could be a scaled version of that applied to forest road infrastructure, planting deep-rooted flora, terracing, cliff faces. I'm just speculating, but the current approach clearly isn't solving the problem. And here's another complication. Japan's rural population is declining. Villages are disappearing. The roads that connected those communities are losing their original purpose, but they're not being repurposed. They're just slowly being reclaimed by the mountain. And as recent news events show us, letting villages go to the forest can lead to the encroachment of dangerous animals like bears. And those bears are encroaching on cities quite quickly. Oh yeah. I'm not talking about turning every forest road into a place of leisure, because many of them still serve a very vital purpose in their areas. But what if a certain portion of unused roads are designated as leisure roads for cyclists, for hikers, for motorcyclists? What if local governments were able to make it easier to maintain these roads? The bikepacking boom of the West proves that there's an appetite for this type of travel. People loading up their bikes and disappearing into the mountains for days at a time. And what makes even more sense to me is combining forest road travel with a network of small family-run inns that still exist in rural areas. On old routes like the Kumano Kodo, tea houses offered rest to travelers moving slowly through the mountains. The pace of travel on foot or on bicycle forces you to notice places that a Shinkansen ride does not allow you to do. Well, regardless of whether or not it happens, I'm going to keep riding my bike through these gravel roads. I'm going to keep building my list, making it bigger and bigger. And of course, being turned around whenever there's a closure due to a typhoon or heavy rain and there's a landslide. But I think there is something here worth paying attention to. Japan has one of the most extraordinary natural landscapes in the world, and a network of roads that almost nobody uses. I know almost nobody uses them because usually I'm completely alone on them. So why not make it more accessible for everyone?